Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Who you with Kurt? I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. Welcome to Speak On It. 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 Welcome to Speak. 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 Who you with, Kurt Dog? Welcome to Speak On It with Who You With, Kurt Dog. I'm Am. Who you with, Kurt Dog? Hopefully y'all had a great day, a great week. I know we've been off for a couple of days. Trust me, it wasn't scheduled. But we're back live tonight. A lot have happened since we was last on last Thursday. So we're definitely want to talk about this this justice system, the Kyle Rittenhouse um, outcome, the verdict of that trial. How do you feel about it? I want y'all to call in tonight and let us know, express yourself exactly how you feel. 972-591-365. So we can talk about that. And also, as the jury start deliberating today in the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial, the three men accused of killing him. So that verdict would be. Then there's the news that's been going on that's just been going crazy. Unfortunately, I'm able to be on. Like I said, I'm this time of the year I work quite a bit, and my schedule, my body, not my schedule, my body, I mean to do it. Because getting in and trying to get prepared and be in front of the computer and fall asleep just not good. So welcome to the show, Radio Chaos of Canada. Thank you for always tuning in, supporting. I want to know how y'all feel about this verdict that came down last week, which I'm not surprised because I said most likely he's probably going to get off. Um, all for the simple fact that this judge, he said a couple of things at the beginning of it. One of the main things he said was, I have the last word um, in this courtroom. And then he also mentioned that uh, they cannot refer to them as victims. He said they can refer to them as looter rotters and all of this. So the already on the wall. We got our first call coming in. Hold on real quick. Oh, it's Radio Chaos. Hold on. I'm trying to get everything. To accept, press 1. Radio, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good.
How do you feel about this trial?
I guess, for me, I watched all the police interviews. I watched all the video I could find online. So when I watched the trial, it was interesting to see what got in and what didn't get in.
What was some things? What things that should have got in that you seen that they didn't allow to get in?
Well, the one thing that really stuck out in my mind was I watched the complete Dominic Black interview with the police.
Okay.
That was the guy that bought him the rifle. That was his buddy.
Uh-huh.
And in the interview, he said to the cops that after Rittenhouse shot everybody and he came back to the car dealership, he asked them what happened. And he said to his buddy Dominic, he said Rosenbaum damaging a car, and he told him not to do it, and then he said Rosenbaum came at him. So that right there was like he had confronted this guy from what he told his friend. But it wasn't allowed in the trial because when they had Dominic on the stand, for whatever reason, the prosecutor never got into that.
I think they kind of pick and chose what they would allow in, because this judge, I think if they would have done it by the book of law, allowed the evidence to come in, I think this judge would have called the mistrial. That's my thinking of it. I don't know for sure, but this judge, it's a lot about this judge. I really don't cut for, because if someone is injured, attacked, murdered, they are a victim. So I don't know what exactly he was thinking of.
Well, I got to hand it to his defense team. I mean, they did what they were. I don't fault defense lawyers. That's their job, is to do everything in their power in the courtroom to get their client off. And they did what they had to do. So I never hold that against defense lawyers. But yeah, obviously the judge, I thought his demeanor on the bench was absolutely unprofessional. For a guy that's been, I think he's been on that bench since the late '80s. I mean, that's a long time. And I just found his demeanor terrible. Like he seemed to have like a stake in the case, and that should not be through his actions as a judge. He shouldn't be doing that.
True. I wonder if he's, because I'm sure he's getting ready to retire now, and I wonder if he have a payday coming.
I don't know. I think he's something. We forget that judges are human beings, right? And they have flaws and they have shortcomings. And sometimes when maybe, I don't know, he's been on the bench for so long, he thinks he transcends things now, that it's okay for him, because he has all this experience, that he can bring his personal biases in because he knows better. I don't know. But it was pretty evident.
Yeah, he was definitely very unprofessional, and also his mind was made up how this trial was going to go from the beginning. And how do you feel about him allowing Cal to pick his own jury?
Well, I guess from the context, like he was picking the numbers out of that tumbler, so obviously he couldn't see what was, they couldn't rig it or anything. But a lot of lawyers did say they'd never seen that before.
Well, I wonder, because we couldn't see what was inside the tumbler, at least the video I seen, I couldn't see it. Is it possible they could have had certain things marked, telling him what to pick?
I don't know, but the optics don't look good. It just doesn't look good. Like, you'd just be better off not doing that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then some of the statements that the judge actually made on the stand, one of the racist comment he made about Chinese food, about the lunch, which was very unprofessional. And also, another thing is, a lot of time when you go into a room, they tell everyone to cut their phone off, whatever. But then this judge, phone ring in the middle of the court, and it was playing um, American. I forgot the name song that it was playing.
Oh, God bless America.
Yeah, God America. Which also, unfortunately, trumping. So,
I mean, definitely, what political leanings you have. You shouldn't. You watch a judge preside over a trial and get a good idea of what his politics are.
True.
That's not his job. He's there to be the referee and call balls. Well, that's what they all say, call balls and strikes. But I mean, he made it pretty clear. That's the new thing now. Is like he can act corrupt and do it blatantly, and that seems of honor. It's like, I'll shove it down your throat and I'll just do it out in the open. And what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sort of seems to be the trend.
Now, I know that you are in Canada, and
Yeah.
how do you think the outcome of this trial is going to have on our justice system when something like this happens?
I'll be honest with you. Like, from the beginning, I thought he was going to walk, or it would be a hung jury.
Okay.
Because I thought the prosecution over.
In a sense, I feel he definitely should have been charged for the two murders that happened, at least for manslaughter, at least. And
Well, the intentional homicide one, that was a stretch. I don't know why they brought that charge, because that kind of comes to premeditation. What I saw in the videos was an idiot kid lying to people, and he was getting off on the experience that he was having. And then when he went, and I think the jury, it came down to the point where they wanted to know what happened between him and Rosenbaum before he shot him. And in the evidence, it was just inconclusive. So it was hard for them. Like, you can't be 98% sure, right? You have to be 100% sure. So I think that's why he ended up getting acquitted at the end of the day. But I just saw a stupid moron going into a situation, and he created it. He contributed to the outcome of that night. No
yes, he
doubt
did.
about it.
Most definitely. All aboard actually said if he has told other lawyers not to refer to victims that the state was in as victims, they weren't victims like he did here. The question, because anybody who been violated is a victim, and especially if they're not the aggressive, because at this point, Kyle Rittenhouse was the aggressor, and he never should have been there in the first place, and never should give a child a assault rifle. So it's going to be interesting how this other trial come out with his friend that purchased the gun, because I did see him on. They asked him if by any way was he getting a lighter sentence by testifying for the prosecutor, and he said no. So that's going to be kind of interesting how that trial go. He may get off
in
too.
his interview too, when Dominic was talking to police, and he said Kyle took the gun without asking, and he said even in his mind, he goes, I was thinking it's in my name. I shouldn't let him take this gun. But then he told the detective, he goes, but if I told him no, he would have thrown a fit.
Well,
but see, that doesn't get into the trial, because again, that's speculation on his part, and that's all the legal stuff. And of course, I'm not a lawyer, and you know what? That's what his lawyers probably at the pre-trial hearings about the evidence and all that. They did their job, and they, they defended their client, and that stuff wasn't allowed in, right? So
true. Now, as for the fact, because several stories came out about this assault rifle when it first happened. First, it came out that Cal took the gun without his knowledge. Even in the in the in the trial, he said that his uncle left the gun case unlocked in case they need it.
Yeah, he
And
took the guns out of the gun case and put them. I guess the gun case was in the garage, and he took them out of the gun case and brought all the weapons into the house because he thought with the unrest he didn't want anybody getting into the garage and taking the guns. But then again, it seemed like the stepfather wasn't anywhere to be seen during this whole thing, so I don't know what was going on there.
yeah, it is kind of shady altogether. Now, how do you feel about um I know President Biden been coming under attack. One, because he said he believed in our justice system and the jury. Um, I feel like it was premeditated what was going to happen on this trial, and I've said times that I felt like he was going to get off, uh, regardless of what we may want to happen. I felt like he was actually going to get off, which he did, and now there. Biden said the justice system, our justice system, wasn't going to get involved with it or going to investigate it or try to reopen this trial or anything. Do you think that's the right move, or should Department of Justice step in?
Well, I think Biden was just giving the politician answer. I believe in the jury system. Because I guess he doesn't cross as Trump either, right? For the federal courts to pick up his case, it would have to be like a hate crime or something like that. So one lawyer, their opinion was like it's a very slim chance that would happen, but who knows? It's only been a few days since the verdict. Um, this isn't over yet. Believe me. The guy that I told you I talked to, who was on the ground in Wisconsin um, that night, was telling me that there was like National Guard that was 2 miles down the road in a staging area, and it was up to the police when they wanted their help, and the police never asked for their help.
Okay.
So there's a lot of federal lawsuits going against the police department in Kenosha because I think the police department there didn't do a good job either. This was a culmination of things that happened that night, it seems, that are all sketchy.
Yeah, from the fact that the police officer praising them for being there, giving them water, and it was past curfew. They should have been able to look at him and tell he was underage and never should have had a assault rifle. And
Well, here's the other thing. This is another point that stuck in my head. I remember in the pre-trial hearings, the defense wanted a gun charge thrown out, and the judge refused.
then he threw
And
it out
then
at
all of
the
a sudden, on the Friday before we're going to give the jury instructions, both sides have rested. All of a sudden, he reads the statute, and he's like, "Oh no, now I understand the statute better, and this is what it means to gun charge out." I mean, it's a misdemeanor. You mean to tell me a judge in an open carry state has never presided over a case where he has to read the statute misdemeanor gun charges?
well, as long as
It
he
took him
been a
that long to
judge,
figure it out. I just found that odd too.
yeah, as long as he been a judge, he should have known what the statute is on that. But that
Yeah,
judge,
well, it's an open carry state. I'm sure there's cases been before him where people are on misdemeanor gun charges. Like he has to know these statutes. That's so he refuses to throw it out, and then all of a sudden, just before the jury instructions, then he tosses the gun charge. So that's weird.
and then also he said before he tossed it, he said, "Well, I know y'all will find him guilty on something, so we're gonna dismiss this
And
one."
it's funny too. Have you heard the interviews here?
From Kyle Lawyer,
Yeah.
I've been so busy. I have to keep up over the last several days, but I did see part of the interview on that Cal did, and I could
Yeah.
tell someone was off to the side feeding him what to say. Because if you watch that interview, he keep looking to the left of him. Look at his eyes. He keep looking to the left as if he's getting information from someone.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Like my impression of Kyle, I think this kid's an asshole. I didn't when he was on the stand. The condescending, fake use, like the way he was trying to talk was fake. And then when he was getting tripped up by the prosecution in the cross-examination, then he's looking at the judge, and then he's looking at his defense lawyers. Well, that's what happens when you take the stand as a defendant. You're going to get cross-examined, right? And all of a sudden, now we don't see the cocky, teenager anymore. And here's the two I find just totally ironic. When he was standing there, when the verdict was about to be read, he's shaking his boots because there's a chance he might go to prison, which is an environment which is not great for his own personal safety, and he can't take a firearm with him. Well, now he's having a panic attack. And then as soon as it's over, he's doing interviews, and now we're back to the cocky, condescending, like, well, this was all political and all this kind of stuff. So I have no respect for this kid. This kid, he's made his own choices, even for a 17-year-old.
Well, all the boys said the state is picking up the case, so they them and Cal was the defendant. So I haven't been able to research that. So hopefully somebody do step in and stand on this, because now it's kind of a lot of people is concerned that when the protest goes on, that people are going to start showing up, and we're going to have more of these action takes. And the first thing they're going to say is, "My life was threatened." Well, you're the one with the weapon. How is your life threatened?
Well, the way I look at it too is the people that were looting and starting fires, they were a bunch of idiots. And
yeah, I agree.
And the mob that showed up with guns were idiots.
I agree.
You got two thrill-seeking groups that go to these. When there's an opportunity for them to do this, this is where they go. And then you have like two opposing sides of stupidity, and it's kind of like, well, who's going to antagonize the other side until the other side does something stupid?
Exactly.
And that seems to be the thing. That's why these people go to it. It's not about, oh, well, I have such a strong sense of community. Give me a break. Oh, it's an hour drive from me. I can go to a riot and I get away with brandishing a gun, and I'm probably not going to get charged for it. So, hey, let's go. And then on the other side, well, hey, I could start fires, and I'm, if I just keep a mask on and, they can't tell my identity even with video, I'll get away with that too. So that's what it was. And that's a small minority of people. That wasn't what the protest was about at all. We've had here in Vancouver, and the same show up, and they do the same thing.
And now Cal said he's a fan of Black Lives Matter.
No, he's not.
That's what he said in the Carson Tucker interview. And also, I want to shout out to T. Cal. I've been seeing her comments come up, and I've been putting them up on the stream. Says she have a busy night at work. Just had to tip in and say hi. Want to also shout out to all aboard who is listening. If it's your first time listening, you are listening to Speak on It with Who You With, Kurt Dog. We are talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. And we're also going to hit on the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial, because the jury got his case today and want to know what verdict do you think will come out of that. We are talking to Radio Chaos out of Canada, long-time listener, and I always bring facts. So, Mikey Ford, welcome to the show. Please take the time, subscribe to the channel, like, share, tell a friend. He said the world's gone mad. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people is going. We're in some trying time. Um,
Yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know. I feel sorry for people that live in these communities and they got to put up with this stuff. It's crazy. Like I have people at Kenosha because all the people that were causing the problems, like the gun nuts and the the people starting fires, most of them weren't even there.
True. Most of them didn't.
No. Well, I mean, let's face it. Like, who wants to burn down their own neighborhood, right?
Exactly. And what people don't realize when you do stuff like that, it's going to affect you one way or another one. Because what
And think
happened?
about it. The people that come out of town and start the fires and stuff. Well, they want to be able to go home and go and get a coffee the next morning and where they live,
Exactly.
right?
And then,
It's fine burning down somebody else's neighborhood. That's fine, because I'm so blah blah blah, right? But that that problem with it. Like who drives an hour to go to a place to participate in that?
so, so also what you got to look at when you do these type of crimes in these areas, when you go and get insurance for your house, your car, whatever, they're going to pull up the crime ratio in that zip
Yeah.
code, and you're going to end up paying higher insurance for this. So it's definitely um, a bad situation for everyone. Uh,
Well, and there was that guy I told you that he was on the ground there that night. He wasn't one of the looters or anything, but he was in the area. He said like the mob with guns, they were breaking the law too. They were brandishing at people, all this stuff.
mm.
Because it's like you can get away with it. It's an environment where you can point your gun at somebody, and you're not going to get charged with it.
Well, it, here in Texas, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Even if you are a licensed carrier, if you point your gun at someone reported, you will go to jail.
yeah.
Uh, all
But
to
but in a riot, your chances go up of getting away with that because so many people are doing it, right? That's why they go to these things. And that wasn't a militia. That was a mob with guns. Some guy put a Facebook post up calling people to come down to that downtown area. That wasn't actually the National Guard is a militia because they're under the state's oversight.
mm. Now, one of the things that the prosecutor had mentioned in this trial was the fact that oh, excuse me, um, he was talking about if one of the guys wanted to shoot him from 20 feet away, he could have.
Yeah,
And instead, he approached him because once he seen him with the gun, shot someone, he could have actually grabbed this weapon, which he had it on him, and he could have shot him from 20 feet away. But instead, he approached. So he was like, how can you say your life was threatened? He had every right to shoot you.
yeah. See, that's the thing. There's a lot of gray when it comes to self-defense laws, and every different self-defense laws. That's why if you're going to be a gun owner, man, you should be up on the laws of your state because they're not the same everywhere.
And it's not the same for black folks, unfortunately.
Yeah. And
Unfortunately.
even like Texas, they have their own unique laws when it comes to self-defense, don't they?
Texas is called Texas Hang 'em High, Texas, um, where definitely um, it's different here. It's completely different. Different laws for different folks. We had an incident the other day at a school here in Little Texas, um, with the police. Now this was a planned walkout of students, and they knew it was planned. But when the police seen the kids leaving out the school, it was already planned because the kids are taking a stand on alleged sexual assault that happened at the school, and the school is not doing anything about it. The police is not doing anything about it. So the student took up on their own self to walk out of school, a peaceful protest, where the police decided to stop some folks. And unfortunately, it was two young black guys that was tased, pepper sprayed, arrested. And in the video, you can actually see one of the cops had his taser pointed at a guy. Now, this one black guy that was tased, they took twice within about a couple of seconds. You can hear it going off. And the guy, he had already been pepper sprayed, tased him back to back, and the guy looked like he passed out from it. But one of his friends was trying to help him, who was a Caucasian student. They pushed him away. At first, they had the taser pointed at him, but they pushed him away and kept pushing him back. But he just trying to make sure his friend is okay. He been tased twice within 3 seconds, which is
Wow.
crazy, by the police. And then they have someone to come on the news last night with the superintendent saying that the officers were spit on, uh, and all of that. But Little M is a racist town here in Texas, um, which we have a lot of them, which a lot of people don't realize that Texas is not made for everybody. Certain areas is not good for when a area become diverse with different race of people, it becomes a problem. And people got to realize that, hey, this is a problem that black folks been dealing with for a long time. Stand by. Um, you are listening to Speak On It with Who You With, Kurt Dog. I'm Who You With, Kurt Dog. We're talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. Want to welcome everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, D Live, in the house, and also Anchor.fm. Uh, please, if you just now joining in, first time joining in, please take the time to subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, and be a part of the show. I see all the comments coming in. Um, see them coming in, so definitely be a part of the show. Um, we are talking to Radio Chaos on the phone out of Canada, who followed the trial quite a bit, and he followed a lot of things that goes on in the world. Time he helped me about some things that's going on also, but that's Texas laws is completely different, and that's what we're gonna do coming up at on our end of the year show. Miss Risky really been working on this for a while, but we're gonna show the difference between black laws and white laws. Same crime, different time, and we.
Yeah, actually, I watched a video where this was I think he's a gun instructor in Virginia, and he's got a really good channel. He promotes like responsible gun ownership, like really taking it seriously and learning the laws and learning, And I remember he mentioned in one of his videos that in his class, people were asking him like they want to move to Texas because they think it's easier to shoot somebody there. Like they're easier on you if you shoot somebody in self defense. And he said, this is not the reason to go and buy a gun and then try and find a state where you think it's the, and he'd explain to them, he goes, well, Texas has unique laws, but you're still going to go to jail. Like if you're reckless with a firearm and you shoot somebody there. But he says, people seem to think like Texas is really, um, you can get away with a lot more with a gun there. Well, I don't think the case at all, right?
It's
Like
not.
you can get serious trouble there.
It's definitely not. You have a, I hate to say it, but you have a better chance of getting away with it in Florida, because of the stand your ground. Now in Texas, one thing they're gonna do once you get your license to carry, which we don't need them in, but when you first get your license to carry, they're gonna encourage you to get insurance. You pay that money for that insurance for if
Yeah.
you do shoot someone, they can have the lawyer present you. but at the same time, it don't give you the license to go out here and just randomly shoot people and
Yeah.
yell self-defense. And that's what people are concerned about with this verdict, because they said it was self. Now people gonna think, oh, I can say my life was threatened. It's
Well, and
self-defense.
here's the ironic part with Kyle. He beat the case, right? But now he's going to be looking over his shoulder at some nut out there who may take the law into his own hands because he doesn't think the justice system works and may try to do harm to him.
Radio, are you
You
tapping
know?
my phone or something? Because I was out there on the phone and I said, you know what? I think this is a big mistake for the simple
Yeah.
fact. Uh, I feel now someone is gonna try to do something to justify it. That's not the way to be.
No.
Um,
And anybody that tries to harm to this guy should be prosecuted. That's not right.
exactly.
Like, you can't win this.
They should be. They should be. And that's just the bottom line. It's two wrongs don't make a right. Who you are, who you represent, or anything like that. Two wrongs do not make a right. If you do the
But
crime, you
but it
should
is
do the time.
it is ironic. Like, now he's got to watch out for people like himself who will might take the law into their own hands. He can eat it up right now. He's doing the media rounds and all that stuff. But this is going to follow him for the rest of his life.
True. And then some politics about having him to intern their office. I'm like, if you are in states where the politician is trying to have Cal to come work in their office, make sure you get out and vote them. We don't need them in office. That's telling you they think like Trump and they want to do everything they can to keep that stupidity on. So definitely get out and vote. Make sure you are registered to vote. Get registered early enough for you don't have to try to get ready when it's time to vote.
Well, here's the kicker too. Like on that interview last night he did with Carlson, he was criticizing the lawyer Lynn. That was the guy that raised the money.
Yes.
So he's criticized. I think it was like $2 million or whatever. Get this. There's a rumor going around that he's going to try to sue Linwood for that money to give to him and his mom. Like, he wants the money because apparently it was raised in his name, so it's his money. So here's this idiot again. He wants to live a quiet life. Then don't go on the media and do this kind of. What are you doing?
First of all, how can you sue him? He represented you. He did a service for you. Got you off. The man got you.
Well, Linwood raised the money, but like his defense lawyer was a local lawyer. I think he's in Racine, and he was a criminal defense attorney. So he was paid fund that Linwood had raised. So the hypocrisy of it is he doesn't like the way Linwood exploited him, but now he wants the money. Him and his mom want the money that was, raised in his name. So you just see, like, this kid is just full of it. And people are saying, oh, well, he's got people that are, not telling him, they're a bad influence. At the end of the day, this kid just makes bad decision after bad decision. Like, he didn't get dragged down to Kenosha kicking and screaming by a bunch of his friends. He took steps. Like, he went and bought a rifle through his friend.
True.
He
And
didn't want to wait till he didn't want to wait till he was 18. He wanted it now. And then he took it without asking. Then he goes down there and he lies about being an EMT, and then even tells somebody, oh, I'm a certified EMT. Like, even lies more.
he even said it in court. It said
Yeah, because he wanted to promote the fact that, like, he wasn't just there to defend it. he was an asset on the street. He was a professional first responder, which was total lie because you can't be certified at 17 years in the state to be an EMT.
And then on top of that, the prosecutor asked the question, if you were a licensed EMT, why you did not try to help them?
Stand during prosecution, he goes, well, who did you phone? And he goes, my friend. And he goes, well, why did you phone your 911? And he goes, well, it was the first number on my phone.
But you 911?
Yeah, so if you Kurt Dog, if you saw an accident, would you just phone the first number on your phone?
Not at all. And trust me, I've been driving down the road and see an accident happen right in front of me, and I'll call 911, and if it's safe for me to get out, I would definitely try to get out and help. But to just call a friend, hey, I just seen this out.
Yeah. Like, who does that?
Hey, and then his friend, the one that bought the weapon, said they was part of a malicious group that came there. So apparently, didn't hear all this stuff that was being said. The jury or somebody said they was a part of an armed malicious group that came to Kenosha.
No, that was a mob with guns. That was just a bunch of who showed up because of this guy named Kevin Matthewson, who's one of these right-wing alder gun nuts. And even he admitted in an interview, nobody asked him to form a group of armed people to guard businesses. He did this alone. Nobody asked him.
Well, Shamima said gay illegal carrying a gun.
Yeah.
That's true. He was.
And too, like, I mean, I feel terrible for the families that lost people, but not the smartest thing to run after somebody with a gun armed.
Exactly. It's definitely not.
You know, like, really, I mean, I could understand if it was he was killing people randomly and people rush in, but really, when he's running down, you're going to charge somebody with a firearm.
Well,
if a little old lady's pointing a gun at me, I'm not going to charge her.
Well, not only that, if the threat is running away, you can really do at that point. You can stand by and kind of see to let authority know, but it's not up to you to chase them. And
other thing that you remember in the video, this guy, he's known as Jump Kick Man. He was a guy that, remember, he jumped and he didn't get shot. Like Kyle shot at him twice, but he missed, and the guy, you know, he kind of got this kick, landed, and then he took off. Well, just after the defense rested, like that this guy had finally been identified, and the defense knew, and they went and talked to the judge that this guy's identity was finally known. And nothing was, and that was the name about it. He was not brought in as a witness or anything.
I wonder why.
I remember the guy. Remember Yellow Guy, right?
I'm
he
trying
was
to.
He was the guy that confronted Kyle when he interviewed with the journalist, and he called him over and he said, "Hey," he goes, "like just 2 hours ago, you pointed, and now you're walking around here saying you're medical now."
Oh, wow.
He never got called as a witness. And I think, too, because he was wearing a mask, it was COVID, right? So I guess maybe the prosecution couldn't find out what his identity was. And let's face it, he was jumping on a car before when Kyle pointed his weapon at him. So he probably didn't want to come forward as a witness either because he'd probably be charged with destruction of property.
True. And then uh, Cal was talking about he wanted to be famous,
Yeah.
and I guess he is famous now for some folks.
Well, I watched his police interview, and this was what, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were interviews apart. You know, the right wing media goes, "Oh, look at him! He had such a great. He knew the law because he went to a lawyer, right?" Well, in the interview, he invoked the lawyer, and the detectives go, "Okay, fair enough." And then right after that, he says, "But I'll talk to you until the lawyer gets here." And the detectives go, "No, it doesn't work like that. Once you invoke your lawyer, we cannot talk to you about what happened until your lawyer gets here."
Exactly.
So
Because
we did it. I go, "Oh no, this guy really, look at him. Look at how he invokes it." But he didn't even. Again, he's an idiot. Like, he doesn't. You know, he doesn't seem to understand. Like, he thinks he knows, but he doesn't know. So anyhow, the detectives walk out. And they leave him and his mom like alone. And his mom turns to him and says, "You're a train wreck." And he turns to his mom and goes, "No, I'm not. You're a train wreck." Oh my God.
yeah, I wish I would have said that to my mom. I would have been in a coma for about 7, 8 days or longer.
And then the other funny part was, like, while they're talking and they're going over stuff, his mom's looking on social media. He seems to be obsessed with what's going on because he's been labeled a white supremacist. And she even turns to him and tells him this. She goes, "You've already a white supremacist." And I could tell, like, something's here, because, like, why is she, like, she's really, like, focused in on this? And then right after she says that, then Kyle says to the two detectives, "Hey, can you help me scrub my social media?" So there you go. So there's a lot of unanswered stuff here, right? Like, you know, unfortunately, when it gets politicized, right, it's just cherry picking on each side, I guess. But there was a lot going on with this kid in BCI. I don't like him. I think this kid's an a-hole. I think he's going to be in trouble again. Maybe not for shooting somebody, but he's going to be in trouble again. His judgment is terrible.
it won't be long. It won't be long. Kind of like the infamous kid here in Texas. I forgot his real name, but the one that went out drinking underage, killed several people, and then later on he got in trouble again playing drinking. And then him and his mama ran to Mexico, and they brought him back, and he been in and out of jail. He been quiet for the last couple of years, but yeah, I can see Cal doing that. It won't be long. Red
Yeah, it
Five
was funny
Golf.
when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I thought if you stole something, you were just going right to jail. So I was like doing that because I thought the cops just came and took you and you just went to jail. And even
Well,
buddies of mine that, they go in and steal chocolate bars and stuff. I was like, no, I'm not going to jail, because I like, there was real repercussions for that kind of stuff. And I was his age. I never did that.
well, we learned that early. Because if we back then, 7-Eleven used to have penny candy and stuff like that. You go in there and grab it, and you didn't pay for it. My mama made you go back in, apologize to them, and then made you turn around and pay.
Yeah.
So, and and once you got home, of course, you got your tail toe up. But I said, no, you can't do that. It ain't worth it.
Well, here's the other thing that came out of the trial. Like, he got pulled over for not having a license. And at first I thought, oh, well, maybe it expired. But then I thought, wait a minute, 17, how could his license expire?
Never
Said
had
to me,
one.
well, he just never bothered to get a license, right? If you don't have a driver's, then you didn't take the test at 17. Like, you don't even. And he was driving up to Kenosha to go to work, I guess, in his mom's car, right?
Yeah.
So his mom obviously must know that he was taking the car and he was just driving to work. Like, that's another thing. Well, you know what? Getting a license takes a lot of my time. I don't need to do that. I know how to drive. I'm just going to drive to work in a car. If he got in an accident, wouldn't the insurance be void?
Depends on the insurance company because and I know here in Texas, if you have a child that is legal to drive, um, well, you got to once they get licensed, you got to put them on your insurance without a doubt, and they will cancel your insurance if that child is driving and don't have a license. That's how it is in Texas. I don't know about all states, but
Now the thing is, I don't know. Like, he didn't possess a license, so it's like, okay, so he didn't take the test and just not bother getting a license, or he had a license, he just didn't have it on him. But it sounded to me like he just never get the license at 16.
yeah, and I tell you all the time, look, your license number is just like a security number. You need to know your license and when it expired in case you ever get pulled over and don't have them. Uh, you, if you give them that information, you probably won't get a ticket for no license.
Yeah, so you see behavior here where he doesn't, like, if he feels like he doesn't like the law or the rules, he just circumvents it. Like, he didn't want to wait to 18 to get an AR-15, so he talked his friend into doing a straw purchase. He wanted to drive to work, but he didn't. You don't need a license to do that. Yet he shows up, and now it's I'm law and order guy. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have a security badge like he was the police on.
You know what? Well, we've all known people like this where, you know, I'm sure growing up, you know, your group of friends, there was always that one person. Whenever trouble broke out, you knew they love it.
Yep.
That's this guy.
Yep. Want to welcome Red 5 Show. I have decisions to make on the show, Red 5 Golf. And one of the decisions I make is if I'm going to put your comment up on the screen or not. And I choose not to put your comments up. But we're tuning in. And please take the time, subscribe to the channel, and also share it with friends. I want to welcome also Keith Johnson out of East Texas. For tuning in, always supporting the show on Facebook. Thank you for always tuning in. Looking forward to doing some things with you next year as you get prepared to run for office. So definitely let's meet up on that and make some things happen. Um, but radio, how do you think this verdict gonna come out with Ahmaud Arbery murder trial of the three
Well,
men?
the thing about it is they had a tough time picking a jury in this case because a lot of people seem to know the defendants. So it could go either way. You know what? I would say anything's a slam dunk, especially with the jury. So I think these guys, all three of them, they should be doing time in jail. You know,
I agree.
from the evidence that I saw, yeah, vigilantism 2.0 here. You know, it's just what are people thinking?
Well, I kind of feel the son is going to get the most time. The father, they probably hit him with a lesser charge, maybe give him less time. He was a part of it, and then um, it's going to be kind of shaky with him. He may walk on this. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
I remember I watched some of the body cam footage, and I remember the Roddy guy. He came on CNN with his lawyer. I'm not his lawyer.
I'm not a fan
Again,
of neither one of them.
I'm not questioning his knowledge of the law. I'm sure, but his demeanor is terrible. And so he brought him on that TV and basically said, "Oh no, my client had to do with this. He was just happened to be driving up when this happened." Well, on the body cam footage, when he's talking to the cops, there's his door, and that was from Aubrey. I guess either punched the door or kicked the door, and he did it because he was trying them
in. Yeah.
right? Like he admits to the cop, "Yeah, well, I was trying to cut him off." Well, then you're part of
You're
this
part
too.
of
Then,
it.
like you don't.
Part of it.
And here's the thing: all three of these guys, like, where do you think you're living in Afghanistan? Like, you just run around in a pickup truck armed after people? Like, that's what they do in Yemen and Afghanistan.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, is this what you want in your communities now? Like a bunch of armed idiots, you don't know who they are, coming after you, and you're supposed to just comply with them? Like, none of this makes any sense to me. It's like I don't know what they. After the whole thing went down, I think that they were justified on this. I see it at all.
and that's why you need to know your laws, because Georgia did a law, citizen arrest, but that's only if person is committing a crime at the time. Ahmaud Arbery was not committing a crime; he was jogging.
No.
I went into many.
And here's the thing that I would say to anybody: like, if you're going to go and confront somebody that you think is doing something wrong in real life, you don't know what's going to happen. I think people get this assumption that because you have a gun, you can point it at somebody and they're just going to comply. And in real life, that's not the case all the time. And things go sideways very fast. And that's what happened in this case, and that's what happened in the Rittenhouse case. I don't know why armed citizens just believe this. They just think, well, I have this gun, so I'm just going to point it at you, and you're just going to comply with what I want you to do, and that's what should happen. Well, that's not how it works.
And then on top of that, you're gonna mess around, approach someone, and show your gun, pull your gun, and somebody be quicker than you. You don't know if somebody is carrying or not. And what's gonna happen is gonna be a wild, wild west shootout.
Well, say you live in an apartment building and your upstairs neighbor makes noise. You go up there and you complain, and they kind of go, yeah, and then they keep doing it. So then one day you decide, well, I think I'll open carry my pistol up there because I'm in an open carry state. So they go up there, and then the guy sees you with the open carry, pistol on you. Do you think things like it might not escalate? But then they go, well, it's my right. Like, it's an open carry. I didn't mean to intimidate them with it. Well, what you are, you're bringing a firearm to a conflict.
True.
And then they just expect, well, this guy should get scared and just do what I want him to do, and then everything will be fine. And that's not how it works, man.
No, it definitely don't work like that. You just because you're able to get a gun, everybody shouldn't have one. I say it all the time because some people they not mentally stable to carry a firearm, and we see this in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Wasn't mentally stable to have one because you have to be able to de-escalate. You can't uh, uh, go in there and think you have a gun, you rule the world. That's not the way it worked. Uh,
Well, people look at it as it's like getting an instant black belt. Now I'm a player. Okay, I got the firearm now. Now I'm a player. And people should just comply with me because I'm doing stuff in the name of good. You know what I mean? Like, we all think our judgment is just so great. And there's been times too, like with the Amber Geiger case, things aren't what they seem sometimes. And you can make an assumption about something, and go in there and think, oh, well, I'm on the side of righteousness, and it was nothing what you thought it was.
Oh, she just got denied again last week. You see, a lot of people don't realize she tried to get it overturned again. She just got denied again last week.
Yeah,
Trying
she
to,
should just do the time. She's going to be out in 5 years anyway. So 24, she's going to be up for parole.
hey, and hopefully she don't get it. Uh,
Yeah, well, and like there's been no reports on her behavior in prison, so I have no idea. But I mean, she got a pretty light sentence, and
yeah,
she's got a chance for parole in 2024. Why don't you just do the time and get it over with? And she'll be what, 35? Still got a good chunk of her life ahead of her. That young man that she killed he's got nothing.
exactly. Yeah, and
And
so
I remember too, one of the criticisms off from John was one of these gun nuts uh, said, "Well, he should have had a pistol next to him,
oh
so when
Lord,
she broke in or when she came in, that he could have defended himself." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Well, what normal person has a pistol within arm's reach everywhere they go in their own house? People do that."
some do because you know the neighborhood you live in. Um, and depends on your house. If you in one part, and say if you have a two-story, you may have one upstairs, one downstairs. Uh, Back in the days, they used to have them pretty much in every room of the house. Nowadays, um, hold on,
Wow.
hold on, real quick, radio. You're listening to Speak On It with Who You With, Kurt Dog. I'm L. Who You With, Kurt Dog. We are discussing the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. We're talking about Ahmaud Arbery trial as jury received the case today. Um, if they don't come back with a verdict tomorrow, they will take a break and come back on Friday. So we're waiting for the decision on that. They have rest for today, and they'll start back up in the morning. If they don't come to it tomorrow, it will be Friday. They will resume, and we're about all type of stuff. All the cases going on in the in the news lately. The Kyle Rittenhouse, the Ahmaud Arbery case. Amber tried to get a conviction overturned again last week, but she failed. So you can join us in the chat room, chatting live with us, and let us know. Barack number 44 NYC, welcome to the show. First time seeing your name on the show. Please take the time to subscribe to the channel, like, share, tell a friend. We are live, and you can join us and chat with us in the chat room, um, and let's do it. But yeah, radio, right? Matter of fact, uh, all the boys said I agree with radio, and I also use that weapon as intimidation. That's a big no. And safety. You never pull out a weapon to try to intimidate somebody, because first of all, it's illegal to do that. Secondly, if that person have a gun, you just threaten their life by showing that gun, trying to intimidate them. And if that person want to, they could definitely take that as a threat, and they can fire up on you. So you never pull out your weapon, not unless you have intention on using it. And just because you have intention to use it, it better be a damn good reason. Life must be
Yeah, well,
threatened.
it's not a tool to make a point in an argument with, I guess.
Exactly. A lot of people have lost their lives because of it. I know right in Tennessee. Tennessee was one of the first state year uh, to make it legal to carry guns, and gun crimes have gone up quite a bit. Uh, since the killing of young Dolph last week. They've been shooting all over
Yeah,
Memphis.
yeah.
So,
Well, I've seen the data on the stand your ground states since that law acted. The the amount of justifiable shootings has gone up 8%.
mm.
Why would it be going up? I thought it was supposed to prevent shootings.
Well, probably the reason why they gone up for the simple fact somebody thinking, oh, I could show I have a gun, but they didn't realize that person they were showing it to had one too, and they took it as a threat and they shot him. So
Yeah,
it
that's crazy.
it is crazy. Everybody that's able to get a gun don't need a gun. You have to be mentally stable to be able to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not.
Well, my buddy, he owns guns up here. He's into like shooting at the range. He's right into that kind of stuff. And he said to me, he thinks like that mob of gun people at the Kenosha riots. He says those people don't represent like gun owners like him. Like he goes, that to me is just absolutely insane that somebody would do that. Like go into a riot with a firearm.
You're
He
looking for
says like
trouble.
to him that, well, he goes to him that just makes absolutely no sense. Like, you know, and he goes to the shooting range like every week. He's right into it. He's got like a whole bunch. But see, up here in Canada, you can only use guns up here for going to the range, or you can use them for hunting. That's it. You can't. We can't walk around with guns on us for personal protection up here.
But you can use it for home self defense, right? Or your business.
Well, you know, it is funny that you mention that because technically you're not supposed to even use it for home self defense, but I guess on a case by case basis, they will evaluate that because there was a guy, somebody broke into his house with a baseball bat, and he was a licensed gun owner, and he shot and killed the guy, and then the police decided not to prosecute him. So I think it depends. I think, but the thing is, if you're going to use the gun, you better make sure, like, you better be right, like 100% right. Like, we don't have the castle doctrine here.
Mm. Yeah, you got to be right. Even here, some people get away with it, some people don't. But if someone, I've always been told, growing up, if someone break in your house, you wait until they get inside your house before you do anything to them. Once they come across the threshold or across the windowsill, you can do whatever you want to because they in your house. Um,
Yeah.
but if they on the
But every
outside,
castle doctrine that in the castle doctrine, every state has different laws of that too, and that's that gun instructor was really stressing that point. He goes like, whatever state you're living in, make sure that you go to a licensed gun instructor who is licensed to actually explain the laws of your state to you and really get to know them. He says, because they're different you know, you could move to another state and you just think, oh, well, it's kind of the same as where I came from. And he goes, you could find out really quickly what you thought you could do in the state you used to live in and you do it here. He goes, then you know, right?
yeah, exactly. Now I'm wondering, the people that have their license, because some states have adopted that allow you to carry there, like Texas. I think you could go to Arkansas or something, or Oklahoma and carry. But now the tech requiring for people to have license, I wonder how that law is going to work in those states.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's something else
It's
people
funny because
gotta be considered about.
see, it's funny because if you took our gun laws up here in Canada, the one state I'd say you could compare it to would be like Massachusetts. Our gun laws are pretty close to what theirs are, and
Mm.
Massachusetts has a lot of gun restrictions. Like, I mean, if you want to own a gun up here, you can. You got to go take a 2-day, 8 hours. Then on your application form, you have to provide 3 references of people that have known you for 3 years. And then once you do obtain your license, you have to join a gun club. And basically, we have restricted and non-restricted weapons up here. So non-restricted is you can carry those out in the woods and things like that, or if you live on a farm, you can shoot on your farm and stuff. Well, you can't discharge firearms in any kind of city limits or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then what happens is once you are a licensed gun owner, they check your record every day.
Oh, wow.
So if you start to become known to police for like domestic violence or something like that, you start to, like police are coming to your house, take a look at like taking your gun license away.
Yeah, I know that's one of the requirements. If you are been in one of the questions on the concealed license here in Texas, that if you are a been involved with domestic violence or anything like that, you're unable to get your concealed weapon license. And which some people, they would lie about it, but who knows? Some people would buy guns for people that know they have no business doing it.
Yeah, that's crazy too,
Uh,
I wouldn't buy a gun for somebody like, oh, hey, can you buy me a gun? Why? Well, I'm not legally allowed to have one, but would you buy one for me?
well,
Oh, okay.
I cannot. Back in the days, my first gun was purchased for me, but mentally, I knew what to do and what not to do, and I it was like, hey, I wasn't finna go out and do nothing crazy, and it
Yeah.
was basically for protection. And when it was said and done, I actually got rid of it because the gun got stolen, and when it was found, the cop told me that I was charged with the crime that was committed because I had reported it stolen. And I'm like, okay. And at the time, I think a cop had got shot, and he would not tell me if it was involved in that case or not. But I couldn't have that on my conscience. I got rid of it. Uh,
Oh man.
and turned it in. I was like, no, if the person stole that gun, shot that cop, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. And I got rid of it. So turned the gun in and
But
said,
I do find it strange, people will buy a gun for somebody
oh no, I never do
and they
that.
know that they're on parole or something, or they're not allowed. And why would you do that? Because you're just putting yourself like you're going to be in hot water, if anything goes down.
Exactly. Um,
Oh, remember that guy down in Florida, the one that killed those 3 guys that were fishing?
oh yeah.
And he had like 230 felony counts for the time he was
Never
14 to 26.
That never should
Well,
have
his
happened.
girlfriend, who had no record, bought him the ammunition that he used in the killings of that. So here she is. Now she's in a triple homicide case for her first time ever dealing with the police. And she bought him the ammunition. She had to have known, like, he had some legal problems.
Yeah. Well, the question is though, do you? Well, I guess you do blame her for buying the weapon, but should the police be held accountable with having somebody with that many weapons and y'all not locking this person up beforehand?
Yeah. Well, 230 I think he had 230 felony counts, and I think he had 16 felony convictions.
And he was only in his early 20s.
Yeah, he's 26, and this went from like the time he was 14 to 26, so 12 years.
He never should have been on the streets. No way.
No. Well, and it was funny. He was already out on bond. I think he broke some guy's arm with the crowbar, and he was out on bond when he committed this triple homicide.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a crazy situation. On the board asked the question, um, why wasn't Kyle Friend charged with making a straw purchase? He actually been
He is.
charged. He just
Yeah,
haven't.
he's going to court in January.
Okay, he's going to court in January. He did testify in the trial that his court date was coming up. I didn't know the exact day, but they asked if the prosecutor had offered him a deal for testifying against Cal, and he told them no. So he's
No,
going to trial for it, which he should, because it was wrong. And you got to know what you're doing. Because for me, anything that I do, um, one thing I won't do is purchase a gun for nobody. Not during this time. When I've had someone to purchase a gun, I was 20 years old, and but I was way up above mentally my age. So I knew what to do and what not to do. And they purchased it for me, but it was also, um, you got to know who you're dealing with. You going to purchase a gun for somebody who mentally not ready for one, that's completely different. Which, shortly after that,
I read the police report on Dominic Black, and there was a bit more detail in there. And apparently, his dad was not happy that he bought Kyle this gun in his name.
yeah,
And that's why he said we're keeping this gun at the house. The only time, like if you guys go target shooting, it's got to be on our property, and this, that, the next thing. And so yeah, apparently his stepdad was not happy about. But see, here again, I mean, I don't know. Do parents ever put their foot down? Like, I guess Dominic Black at the time was 19 years old, so he's technically an adult. So if he wanted to buy this idiot Kyle, a gun in his name, I guess it was really up to him. But apparently he was not happy about it.
well, his parents probably didn't know. And if they did know, they should have told him, look, that's not a smart decision to purchase a gun for someone underage, first of all, in your name,
Yeah.
because you will be held
Well, and here's
accountable.
the thing: they bought it in May, and I think according to Black, they shot it twice at targets on their property, on his dad's property, and then in August, that's when the riots happened, and he shot 3 people. So there you go. There's an idiot got a firearm, and in 4 months only used it twice, to shoot at some targets, and then commits or double homicide in 4 months.
Exactly. Now, I'm gonna see if you remember. I'm gonna see if you remember how he got the money to buy that firearm.
Yeah, the stimulus check.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if you remember that or not. He used that stimulus check to do it. Um, uh, all the boys said, I wish we could all agree that violent weirdos need to be off the street on both sides. In my Trump voice. um, so said, I don't believe the dad didn't know. Um, I think he probably did. I think this was a well orchestrated cover up. Their stand on code. Exactly. Um, so,
And here's another part. Like Dominic Black, when he was talking to the cops, he said he always stores the gun, like the firearms, with no round chambered in it.
yeah.
So that was which is common sense, like for safety reasons. So obviously, from the time Kyle took that gun, he must have racked around and he was either walking or it seemed to me he was walking around carrying that hot.
Well,
So
um,
he had to charge the weapon himself, right?
well, they did say they pulled the safe, so I would assume it was already loaded. But one thing
Yeah,
that Dominique said in the trial was that once he heard the shot, first thing he thought about it was Kyle. Now,
yeah,
and heard that it sounded like he contradicted himself because first he didn't know he took it. Now, when he heard the shot, he thought it was Kyle, and he also admitted that they was there as an armed malicious group. So, point it's like, which one is it? Did you know he had the gun or you didn't? And
well, he did know he had the gun because they drove down and the guns were in the trunk.
well, I'm talking about
The
he
thing
got it
was, he
out of his
didn't put it.
uncle's safe, though.
Yeah, but I guess the point is if Black had been smart enough and put it. See, here's a question I have too. Like, say his buddy said, "Look, you're not done with you, but you can take the first aid thing and just do first aid down there." Do you think that idiot would have gone down? No, he wouldn't,
No,
because
no.
he wanted the gun. That's why he wanted to go down there, so he could have the gun.
He wanted to show how bad he was.
Yeah.
And that is. Um,
He wanted the experience. That's what he did it for. He didn't like this crap of, oh no, I only wanted to help people. He didn't know anything. He knew basic first aid. Like, how many people do you know basic first aid? Lots of people. He
uh,
was that's the thing, and also too, it comes out in the trial. They were all what was it? They were guarding an empty building.
Now they had the guns earlier that day on his family land because Dominique mentioned that they came out, shot the weapons earlier that day, and
Yeah,
his uncle put them in the safe, and then he pulled them out that night just in case they
yeah.
need them. So I I
But
don't know. It's
just the gall of that Kyle guy just to go and grab that gun, like he was entitled to have that gun. Didn't ask anybody
well,
because he's got to have. This is his thing. Hey, this is my night tonight. This is when I get to be important. That's why I can't stand this kid. Even for a 17-year-old, just the bad judgment, the entitlement. I see him on TV now, and he's trying to put himself across. He's got this condescending tone to him. He's got a lot of problems in life because what he doesn't realize is he's got a big ego, but he doesn't realize that he's an idiot.
yeah. So Kyle gonna have issues going down the road. He definitely will. He would never be able to live
Oh,
this
we
down.
haven't heard the last of him. He will be in trouble again.
Oh yeah.
Mark my words. I'm not saying it's going to be anything to do with a firearm. He will do. I will put. Okay, I'll bet you like 1 or 5 cents right now that eventually we'll get in trouble again. We're gonna see it happen.
Just like Zimmerman did. He got off, and we haven't heard about him in about the last year or so. But
Well, apparently there's been reports of him, like, people confronting him in restaurants, and he's turning around saying, "You know who I am? I could really do a number on you and all this." See what I mean? It's like once in it, you can't fix stupid,
yeah,
and that's the problem. And unfortunately, you put a firearm in the hands of a stupid person, this is bound to happen.
that's true. Um, Holla boy, she putting all type of stuff up. I can't even keep up with her. But last thing she said, Kyle mother is a problem as well. She took him out drinking as he was on bail. It's legal with a garden in his state, but against bail restriction. And also
Yeah,
here
they
in,
went to that bar right after a court hearing.
yeah, uh, was right after the court hearing. Uh, no, after that picture surfaced, that's when the court didn't realize where he lived at. Um, but
Yeah.
even here in Texas, all aboard, what a lot of people don't realize, if you are a minor and you with your parent or whatever, and you go to a bar, you can drink if your parent give the okay. But I wouldn't recommend that for the simple fact. Now you probably have some R. Kelly in the place taking a child out drinking or something. Allegedly R. Kelly taking a child out to
But you know
drink.
what? I blame the prosecution on that because they didn't put in his bail conditions that he couldn't consume alcohol.
True. True.
I guess maybe they just assumed because he was underage, oh, well, he's not going to go out.
He's not going to go out
Well,
and
you know
drink.
what? It wasn't in the bail restrictions, and then they added it after that. But again, if I was a prosecutor, I would put the same bail restrictions on everybody, even if
Exactly.
they're underage, because you never know. Like you might get them on a bail violating their bail. Just because somebody's underage doesn't mean they're going to get their hands on. You know, they can't get their hands on alcohol, right?
True. And then the judge, even during that trial, I couldn't understand why he would not revoke his bail, knowing that the court did not know his address, his whereabout, where he was staying at. He gave them the wrong information, never updated his information. If that was anybody else, they would have been held accountable. Would have been like, no, you knew you needed to give that information to the court. Your attorney didn't give it to nobody. So no, that's you violating your bail.
Well, that's when I began. Like when I watched that hearing, I was like, "Oh man, this judge is biased," and he's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, he
So
just straight
the
up.
thing is, he was in charge, and his attitude was, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" You know,
That's
I think he said, I thought his temperament on the bench was terrible. He was too emotionally invested in it. You know, losing his temper the way he did in some instances. I didn't think he was a very good judge at all.
true. Now I kind of think when this first happened, and correct me if I'm wrong. For some reason, it keep coming to my mind. Um, Trump to get involved and think he talked about calling the prosecutor or somebody in Kenosha when this first happened. And I remember him talking about it, saying, no, he's innocent. We'll contact somebody to make sure he's not charged. And that's when people start rallying behind him and raise that cash bond for him. Um, and I'm trying to think, who did Trump say he was going to call? Thank you, Rick. All aboard said this is a great show tonight, you guys. Appreciate it. No, whenever I can hang out with Radio Chaos out of Canada, is always going to be a good time. Matter of fact, he's the one that sent me my baba.
The great orange clown bobblehead.
On the toilet tweeting. Boy, I had some people to come over, guess about a month ago, and they came into the studio. No, first time visiting, so they want to see the house, and they come through and they look at the studio and they're like, "Oh my God, where you get this from?" I'm like, "Radio kept it to me. Who is Radio Chaos?" That's my brother from another mother out of Canada. So they pick it up, start shaking it. I'm like, talking about, ooh, it's heavy too. So I sure appreciate that.
Well, that bobblehead's smarter than Trump is, so.
Exactly. I want to get a chef behind me if I can have it, and then I could just every once in a while just shake it every once in a while. But I sure appreciate that gift. That's a wonderful thing. Uh,
Well, I knew you'd get a kick out of it.
oh yeah, most definitely. We everybody is welcome on the show, regardless of who you support. Only thing we ask that you are come with facts and be respectful. No matter who you are always welcome. Everybody have a voice on this show. We may not agree all the time, but when you start putting crazy stuff in, it's my duty to just pass it up and don't display it. If you notice, I display a lot of message up on the screen. So I this, but then there's some message I just kind of read over and keep on going. So I don't put them up, but everybody is welcome on this show, regardless of who you are, who you represent. We just ask that you come in.
Well, the thing he said about Trump, like he wanted to talk to the prosecutor or whatever. Again, that shows the great orange clown doesn't understand the office that he holds because he's in the federal government. Federal government can't go into state prosecutions and tell them what to do.
Exactly.
That's remember when he was saying during the COVID thing, well, the states should all handle it individually. Yeah, well, I mean, so he at least he understood that each state is under its own governor in that respect. But yet, when it comes to a prosecution he doesn't like, he thinks he can just go in and he can influence whether they're going to lay charges. He doesn't have that power.
Hold that thought right there. You are listening to Speak on the with who you with, Kurt Doug. I'm Kurt Doug. We are talking with Radio Chaos about all type of things tonight. Just go back and listen to that a full episode. You will see. Go ahead with your thought, Chaos. I had to change. The segment for Anchor.fm was getting ready to end, so I had to reset it. They only give me 30 minutes on that. So unfortunately, I wish I could just record the whole show, the whole segment, but they give me 30 minutes on Anchor.fm to record live. But you are right. Trump overstepped his boundary about a lot of things. And
yeah, you can't do that.
You definitely can. And he encouraged a lot of people. That's why we're dealing with some of the aftermath with all the bogus lawsuits that came out about the election. That's the reason why January 6th happened. That's the reason why uh, this border wall, which Greg haven't been in all this time, now he's since it's election time, he doing just like Trump. During election time, want to talk about the border wall. But all those other years, you was sitting up there and wasn't concerned about it. Now it's a big thing because you trying to get reelected. So it's the aftermath. We have the governor of Florida, very outspoken. Don't want to do the right thing. Want to ban masks at school and vaccine and all of this for the kids. Come on now, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, trolling now is like the new political campaign. Trump showed that it was effective, and when something's shown to be effective, what happens? We'll jump on it, and they do it too, right? So it's almost like I found like when Trump ran in 20, he brought a sense of entertainment to it because people were tuning into the debates to see what ridiculous thing he was going to say, and he turned it into a reality show. Unfortunately, you don't want your government being a reality show, though.
Exactly. Welcome to the show, Marcella Smith. I didn't come in. I think I was changing the segment, and then as soon as she started talking about trolling, I seen the Freeman channel came in, who been trolling me for some time now, which I'm glad you always come back for some more knowledge, and that's cool. He said, brother, they've been talking about the border since Kamala got out in charge. Well, guess what? They talk about the border when it come up for election year. Trump brought it up every time he got ready to get elected. Um, so that's basically it's a political move because they put fear in people and put fear in people in order to get them to vote for them. They telling people how Trump kept saying that um, we have illegal immigrants coming to Mexico who is rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and all of that. Now, some of it may be true, some of it may not be true, but that's what his whole campaign was about the first time. He tried to do the border wall the second time, but people weren't paying attention to that bull. So here it go. Greg Abbott is trying to take it up because he's up for re-election next year also. And Greg Abbott is talking about the border wall. But as long as Greg Abbott have been in office, he never pushed the border wall this whole time. He could have had that border wall built years ago. The Republican been running Texas for over 20 years and they never done anything about the border wall. But now it's a big concern. So like I said, thank you for coming in. Thank you for always commenting. I appreciate you. So, and I'm glad you putting your inputs in. But one thing we're going to deal with is facts. Facts. So,
See, I got an alternative to the border wall.
okay.
Just put up a bunch of signs that say "Stay off my lawn."
Well,
It's cheap. It gets the point across, and it's probably going to have as good an effect as a wall will because anybody that really wants to cross, they're going to cross anyways, right? Well, what was it?
exactly.
One of the guys in Mexico said, if you put up a 30-foot wall, I just get a 32-foot ladder. You know.
Well, the thing is, when they talk about the border wall, my thing is, we've seen. I forgot the guy name when they had a tunnel going up under the ground coming across the border. If they want to get in, they can get in. But I would prefer they did it legally, the right way, and everything could be okay. But unfortunately, some people don't do it right, and because now I would just break it down because back in the old days, uh, this this the immigrants have always been an issue. Um, Now the thing is about it, when was it? Back in the, I think it was in the 40s and 50s. Um, we did a story about it, and if you pull up the story, why marijuana is illegal in Texas, it would talk about it, how they lied about um, the immigrants that was coming over from Mexico. That's how they made their money, was medical marijuana. They use it for medical purpose. Well, they started making it illegal to get them deported. So, and then they said the marijuana ended up causing the women to want to sleep with brothers. Uh, so that's why they made it illegal. And now they talking about the border wall, where at one point they had no problem with the border, but now it's always a problem. Um, so at this point, what needs to happen, if Greg Abbott wanted that wall built, as long as he been in office, it should have been built. But now he's up for re-election. That's why we can't um, we can't let him win because of that. And we need somebody strong enough to beat him here in Texas. So that's all I'm saying. Um,
Well,
so,
actually, a good portion of undocumented people in the U.S. that they're people that fly in and just overstay their visas.
exactly.
They're not all coming from the southern border.
That's true. Now, I had an issue the way they did the Haitians for the simple fact with all these immigrants coming over, they had a process they went through. But with Haitians, majority of them, they automatic put them on a plane within days and sent them back. They didn't get that option of going through that process, which that's the problem with America. It's not equal justice across the board for everybody. It's based upon the color of your skin or based upon what they feel they can get out of you. Because we know here in America, with a lot of these illegals coming over from Mexico, they will get these jobs that is paying them cash, a low wage, and then they end up staying over here and kind of like even Trump, his business been sued for hiring illegal immigrants before. He had people working for him that was illegal. So, but he
Well, that's the
also,
thing. Why don't they pass a bill where they can go after companies that are hiring undocumented people and hit them with huge fines?
well, they actually,
And then,
eh,
and,
they,
and if you kind of cut down the demand, like if people hear, hey, wait a minute, companies are getting nailed for hiring undocumented people now, so you got to come in like the legal way with a social security number. But I never hear any kind of like going after these companies, and I mean hitting them big, because in the cruise ship industry, they used to throw stuff overboard like you wouldn't believe. It used to be like, oh well, this vending machine doesn't work, just throw it overboard. Now the Environmental Protection Agency now, these ships, I'm not kidding you, they get hit with these mega fines now if they comply with the environmental laws. And when I was on the ship and I actually saw it happen, you can't even like flick a cigarette butt over the side. And if they catch you doing it, they put you off at the next port. And one of the officers, who was like a three-stripe officer on there, he got caught throwing a chicken bone over the side, and they put him off.
mm,
And what that told me was the fines were so damaging to their bottom line that they were complying with this now. Because before, from what people were telling me that had worked on cruise ships for a long time, they were throwing everything overboard. It used to just be like, oh yeah, well if this is broken, we'll just chuck it. Well, so why don't they do this with like the employment of undocumented people? Like if they did the same thing, then it would cut down. And also, too, like if you're hiring undocumented people, you're treating them terrible, too, because they've got absolutely no legal recourse for anything. They got no workers' rights, no nothing.
they have nothing to stand on. Now, see, when you talk about the companies, this tell you how jacked up our laws are for it, because I think it was last year, uh, right before the pandemic, a company up north, I think it was Plano or somewhere, Plano, Texas, somewhere up in that area, they got raided. Now, here it is. They raiding them. You would think this company was shut down while the feds are there rounding up illegal immigrants. But instead, while they hauling them off out and putting them on buses, that company to work
Yeah.
like it wasn't nothing going on.
And that's the thing. You got to hit them with these huge fines.
Got to hit them in the
Because
pocket.
I'll tell you, in the cruise ship industry with that environmental laws, it turned on a dime. Like one of the officers who'd been on there he'd worked on there for like 30 years. He said it was like all of a sudden it went from, oh yeah, whatever, we'll just do what we want. And then I think it was Royal Caribbean, they got hit with like a $60 million fine.
Mm.
And that was the wake up. So then all of a sudden now they have these stringent laws and they enforce them. And I've seen people lose their jobs on there for like throwing a chicken bone off the side. So if that can have that effect there, why wouldn't it be with these if you just hit them really hard? Because, we all know the one thing that companies pay attention to is when you hit them in the pocketbook. That's the only time you'll see any kind of change.
Exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of our leaders, they looking at the tax dollars that they're making off of the company, if they're paying any taxes, because as we later found out, we had a president paying many taxes. So,
Yeah.
and he used to brag
But he
about
was
that.
though, like he said to Hillary Clinton, he goes, "Well, that's because I'm smart." No, it's not. It's because you got an accountant and you just tell him, "Look, I make it so like I can pay as little taxes as possible." Trump is a delegator; he's not a thinker.
All the board says she actually worked for Carnival Cruise Civilian and Security Department. The amount of things that went on before were ridiculous. I believe it. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the ocean. Who watching? Well, now they got Big Brother watching. So,
Well, I told you that time I was up on the top deck and those 20 passengers all got in a fist fight,
oh
and no
wow.
security showed up. And as a musician, I just wore a name tag. Like I had to wear nice clothes, but I wasn't in the officer's outfit. I didn't wear that thing. And anyhow, this woman, she sees my name tag and she comes up to me and she goes, "Well, aren't you going to go in there and stop?" She goes, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to get myself another beer. This is great entertainment." She goes, "What? You're not going to get in the middle of that?" And I said, "Well, why would I get in the? Look at there's 20 people all punching the crap out of each other. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk in there and I'm just, probably if I put my hand on somebody because if I work for the company, I'll get sued anyways, right?" So anyhow, in about 2 minutes, it all kind of broke up, but there was nerdy, no nothing.
Hey, I would have told him, look, that's above my pay raise.
Yeah.
That's
Well, yeah, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, again, unlike the idiot Kyle Rittenhouse, I looked at that and I go, no, that's not a good situation to go into. I'm going to walk in there and I'm probably going to get hurt too, right? And luckily the passengers, they kind of broke up their own fight there, but it was a bunch of drunk people.
no, it wasn't gonna last long, no way. Um,
Well, the thing, like people that end up getting into fights, they don't know how to fight, right? So they're all like sucking wind in like 30 seconds, right? Because they don't realize that you actually have to be in good shape to be a good fighter. And also the best part is, yeah, I think I'll drink enough alcohol so my reflexes are off and everything, and I'll get in a fight. This is a good time to get.
that's kind of like it been some major fights at football games this year, and looking at the fights, I'm like, Lord, he's drunk.
Yeah.
He really is drunk, and he thought he was finna put on a good show, and got his ass towed up. So yeah.
Remember that? What was it? That basketball game where the players went into the stands?
Oh yeah.
It was Ron Artest and. Could you imagine? Like you're sitting at an NBA game and you throw a drink at one of the players, and then that player is coming into the stands to get to you. I mean, like if I saw LeBron James climbing over people to get to me, I would be absolutely terrified. It would never occur to me to go, yeah, I think I'll throw this drink at him and nothing will happen. And then to see a man, 6'8", 300 pounds, climbing over people to get to, and he's coming for you because he knows that you're the one that threw it. It's just hilarious how what people will do. And again, it just points to the fact how fast things can go sideways, right? Like I read, yeah, wasn't it Artest? He went into the stands, right?
Yes, him and another player. Can't remember which one it was. Let me see if I can pull it up again. If you're just not tuning in, we are live, so sometimes things may come up, and we may have to pull up some stuff online. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
that was off the hook. That was like, I think that was back in 2004 or 2005.
Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up real quick. It was it, all aboard. It was the Piston, because she had asked if it was the Piston. Um, Ben Wallace. No, no, no. That's them fighting. Hold on.
I think it was the Pistons and 76ers.
Think it was. Trying to say. Okay. It was. It was. A Piston fan explained why he threw a drink at Ron Artest in 2014 brawl. So it was Ron Artest and somebody else. I'm trying to see who went in there with him. Uh, it was the Pacers. It was a game.
Oh, Indiana,
Yeah, it was the Piston versus the Pacer matchup, and said between.
Yeah, Reggie White was still playing then.
Yeah, that was a beast. Reggie was a beast. So I'm trying to think who it was went up there. I don't know, but since you brought up LeBron, and some guys was talking about it at work the other day, and I seen the video, um, seen the highlight of it when he was ejected out the game the other day. I don't know if you seen it or not. Um,
No,
I,
I didn't see it.
the guy, somebody was shooting a free throw. I don't know if it was on purpose or what, but LeBron ended up elbowing a guy in the eye, and
Oh man.
the guy just had blood just running down his face. He was trying to get with LeBron. He got ejected. LeBron did get ejected out the game. They was trying to. They tuck him to the back. The dude was trying to get to the dressing room on LeBron, and some people is calling for him to be suspended for that. But he was ejected out the game for throwing an elbow. And when I seen it, when they first was talking about it, I'm like, what happened? So just so happened I seen the highlights shortly after that. And I was like, man, yeah, that can actually end a person's career. Cause I was like, as bad as it looked, my question is, if something like that ends someone's career, could he turn around and sue LeBron?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know if it was on purpose or not. I didn't see it live. I only seen the clips of ESPN and couldn't really hear what they were saying, but that was it was pretty jacked up. I was like, man, it looked pretty bad. It may not have been as bad as it was, but he just had blood running down it. And the dude wanted to get with LeBron.
Yeah. Well, there's no fighting allowed at all in the NBA. I mean, I think the only major sport where you can fight is hockey. That's it. And even that, like they're slowly getting rid of that now.
I've been in before, but I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those sports like you either like it or you like. With any sport, you either like it or you get right into it. But
I was disappointed in fight. they always show the highlights of fights on TV, and I'm like, okay, I had good seats, and
Well, here's the thing. Now it's been coming out like some of the sportsers in hockey, like Bob Probert, the guys that were on the team to fight. What I never realized was um, now in interviews they say they were telling about their experiences, and they said like when they were on the road and they were going into a city the next day, and they knew they were going to have to fight so and so on the other team. He said like the mental part of that was just terrible for them because like they couldn't sleep the night before. It had an effect on their mental health because it's not normal to know you're going to fight at between a certain time the next day, and doing this on an ongoing basis. And even for me, like of course I'm not a hockey player. I didn't realize that. I thought like if you were a fighter, like you enjoyed it, and it was like, oh, okay, well that's just your job. But they said the mental anguish that it put on them, and some of them like they'd be throwing up the night before because they know that they're going to probably have to fight the tough guy on the other team. So it was a different perspective on the fighting culture in hockey there. So I found that, see, that when back in the old days, players never talked about that kind of stuff. Now getting more insight into what athletes go through on a mental health basis in their sports, So I just found it interesting.
I back in the days, some dentist or somebody used to have a here in Dallas, uh, where they would have players where they would show how much work they was doing to hockey players, teeth and stuff from fighting and all of this. And I'm like, man, I feel that, and I guess it have changed because you don't really hear about them no more. Happen, but they don't highlight it used to. I think ever since that one player, the black guy that joined the league, I forgot what team he was on, but when that guy took him down to the ground with slamming his head on the ice.
Oh, that was here in Vancouver. Yeah, that was Donald Brashear.
Okay. I think that's when they started.
Marty McSorley skated up behind him and he hit him on the side of the head with a stick and knocked him out, and his head just bounced off the ice and gave him like a bad concussion. I don't think it was a skull fracture, but he had a really bad concussion. That was sort of the end of his career.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the guy wasn't charged because that, if whatever reason, I don't know if he ever gave a reason why he did it, if the guy checked him or something, I have no idea. But I remember when that happened.
There was the worst one here with our team again. This player earlier in the season had taken a cheap shot on one of the star players and almost, put him out for the season. So the next time that team came into town here, one of the tough guy, well, he wasn't a tough guy on the team. Like he was about 240, 6'4", and he wanted to fight him, and the player just kept skating away from him. So he went up behind him and he sucker punched him. They both went down on the ice, and then all these other players came in, and he ended up breaking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was kind of like, that was sort of the turning point where it's like, okay, this is starting to go too far now. And then ever since it happened in 2004, and since then you've kind of seen like a slow decline, kind of with the fighting. Because now on hockey teams, usually the fighter on a hockey team, they could hardly skate. They were only there to fight. Well, now on hockey teams, everybody has to be able to, like, the skill level's gone up. So there's no place anymore for that kind of, you just hire a guy to fight. Like, they actually have to be able to contribute to the game now. So I think that's why and also, like, they've gotten faster and the players have gotten bigger. So the game is dangerous enough, like at the speeds that they're skating at. So you don't see. I think the fighting part is kind of, it's still there, but it's not as prevalent as what it was. Like in the '70s, you used to have like bench clearing brawls where both teams would come out on the ice and just fight each other. So
Exactly. Now, how long does it last in hockey? Because it seems like the Dallas Stars are playing for a trophy or something. I'm like, God damn, didn't they
well, it
season get?
really starts beginning of October and it goes about mid April, and then the playoffs start. The playoffs, the playoffs are like the NBA. It takes about 2 months to get if you get to the final.
I was just curious.
Because the NBA the NBA will have the same kind of playoff format like series. Well, same like baseball too.
Yeah. Okay.
And they play. I think it's 82 games a year. I think.
Okay. Let me start it.
But I can't afford to go to games of anything anymore, so I just kind of watch. I don't really follow sports. I used to, but not as much anymore.
I feel you on that. Stand by real quick. You are listening to Speak On It with Who You With Cornell, Who You With Kurt, though. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. D Live is in the house, recording for Anchor. I think this is our fifth segment for tonight. So we have a session with Radio Chaos out of Canada. So we're talking about a little bit of everything tonight, catching up for all the nights we haven't been here due to my work schedule. So yeah, that's good to know about hockey radio, because hockey is I think it's real physical sport because you got to be in shape. I tried ice hockey when I was younger, but I won't do it today because I don't heal as quick. After a certain age,
well, it's funny. I'm Canadian, man. I've never played hockey in my life. Never played ice hockey at all. I can't skate. Can't do any of that stuff. So.
Well, I as for roller skating, I'll roll around the thing close to the edge if I can hold on and slide around. Because I always have a fear of falling. And, at a certain age, when you fall, you just don't heal that quick. So, but ice hockey, I did do it as a teenager. My mom used to work for this company, and they would take. Uh, she worked for a company that dealt with youths that been in trouble, and they would always take those youths to different camps. They'd take them ice hockey, something like that. Different things, give them different environment for they would change their act and get them back on road. I don't know if this company is still in business or not, but DCM, which was a real good program, because even though my mom worked there, my brother and I would go up there after school, be involved with a lot of stuff, and it kept us on the right track. So I definitely.
The only downside with hockey is it's really expensive though. Like if you want to put your kid into hockey, I mean, you're buying new skates every couple of years, because the kid's growing. Whereas basketball, you can go down to the playground and play basketball, but hockey, you got to join a league. Not everybody's got access to an ice rink and
True.
all the pads and all that kind of stuff. Even up here, it's super expensive. Parents spend thousands of dollars on it, man.
I think here in Dallas we have a couple of ice rinks that came up. Well, I know one place we would go to the mall, like North Park Mall, and ice skate, or Arlington Mall ice skate. But now I want to say Dallas Stars have a ice rink that is uh, for younger folks, and also for adult teens. And then I think they have like two locations for. where you could join a league or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that. So that's always good. I've been since I was a teenager, many, many moons ago. So I
Well,
think,
it's kind of funny because the guy that owns the Dallas Stars, he's from Vancouver. I know that guy.
oh, okay.
What's
Shoot.
his name? Tom Gallardi.
Okay.
That's the name. He wanted to buy the team up here, but I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't want him to own the team here. So he buying the team in Dallas. But yeah, I knew him and his family.
Mm. Well,
So yeah, it's kind of a small world. Yeah, they own a chain of hotels up here called the Sandman Hotels, and they made a lot of money doing that. He tried to buy the Canucks, so that's our team up here called the Canucks, and whatever reason, I don't know, like Dick's involved. So then I guess he moved to Dallas, and he bought the team down there. So he's a majority owner of the Dallas Stars. I know that.
oh, okay. I see the Sandman Hotel. Look pretty nice. Um,
Uh, well, it's funny because I kind of know the ins and outs of that family, and they're a bunch of the most cheapest people you ever see in your life, man. And they own the construction company. And I'm not going to, I can't say I'm not a construction expert, but they were cutting a lot of corners.
oh,
That's all I can
oh,
say about it, man. It's like, oh, wow.
that sounds like
Yeah.
the guy that did our roof on our old home. Um, he tried to put the before you put the tar down and the shingles down, you had to put the paper up under it, the plastic up under it,
Yeah.
and when he didn't order enough. He tried to have his crew to do it without it, and I built a relationship with the crew, made sure they have water or whatever, and the guy told me, he said, "Man, this guy need to bring some more of this uh his sheets out. I forgot the proper name of it. This plastic I have to put up under there, because if he don't, and if anything ever happened, the insurance company would not cover it." And
Yeah, I think that's what they call vapor barrier, right?
something like that.
Yeah.
So the guy tried to try to take shortcuts, and I told him no, because I told him up front I don't do anything shady, and he didn't realize that until he started the job, and I stayed on him. And I said, "Look, we're not taking shortcuts. That's something I'm not going to
Well,
do."
that's a pretty important thing to install because what happens is without that vapor barrier, it allows moisture to come into your roof. And
Mm.
what happens when moisture sits in your roof, it starts to rot over the years. So see, that's the thing. Like they can cut that out, and you're not going to see the effects of that till like 5 years down the road when they're long gone, right?
Yeah,
You can't make a claim on it.
which
But
I
yeah, the construction stuff you got to be careful of. Yeah, there's a lot of shit out there.
yeah try to cut costs and give you the lowest price, and I think probably 8 months after we got the roof done, we end up selling and moving anyway. So, um,
Oh, okay.
but we don't have to deal
See,
with
that's
it.
the thing. A lot of people when they buy a house, like everything can look okay on the outside. It's what's inside is what matters, man.
And what?
Like there's so many contractors like I've known over the years. They say most of their work is fixing work of bad contractors. That's the majority of their business. Because I remember one guy, he did it on the side, like he would do bathrooms and things like that. And he did a job and he would quote it, and then the client would phone him and say, "Well, no, these other guys quoted it at this," and he said, "It's like there was guys out there that were giving the client a price of what he was just spending on real, not including the labor. And he's going, I don't understand how anybody could like do a job for that cheap, right? And then he'd say usually about 6 months later, he'd get a call from the same client for him to go down there because the thing it turned out to be a disaster. It wasn't done properly, right? So,
Sure, I'll go. But if I got to clean up,
Republicans, they don't like regulation, right? So like everything should be on the honor system. So we should just all trust everybody, you know?
no, don't do that. You'll get burnt.
Well, that's a big Republican thing. Well, deregulation makes a better free market. Well, when somebody's building a house, yeah, no, you kind of want them like sticking to the building codes. That's kind of an important thing, you know that.
Yeah, and I would tell anybody. I would tell anybody if you are buying a home, please spend the money to get it inspected by somebody who have good reference. Because when we purchased our new home, I've called several inspectors, and then I finally picked this one guy, and I'm glad I picked him because when he came out, um, we was getting ready to do our walkthrough, and even this the construction guy for the home, he was like, "Man, y'all have a great inspector because I worked with him before, and this guy's really thorough." So he was on top of it. So I would recommend anybody to go ahead and if you purchasing a home new or you get it inspected by a inspector.
Yeah, and there's some online and they complete some 2-week course and then they can become home inspector. I don't want those guys.
Don't do that. Never a good thing. So you get it inspected.
Everything's a scam these days, huh? Like you always got to vet everybody. It's not like it's not like it was before. Now you can just print yourself a certificate in this, and I don't know.
Yeah,
things have changed since I was a kid.
Online, you can do a lot of things online. You can become a doctor, a preacher online. Just get a piece of paper.
Ted Cruz's dad, I found out he became a preacher, but it was not for any one religion. He just, I guess, for his own religion. So
are they online? But
well, that's what his dad. Like, I guess he just declared himself a preacher, but he was not affiliated with any kind of organized religion, like in terms of like a established church in that state. So basically, I guess you can do that. You can just form your own thing and say, okay, well, I'm the preacher. Well, big deal, right? I mean, what's a preacher going to do? That's he's not building your house for you. So.
True. Well, it's a difference because every preacher you definitely follow because everybody ain't preaching the word truthfully. That's why you should study the word for yourself. And then you have a lot of people that call themselves.
Jim Baker's not one you want to follow.
Who is that?
Jim Baker. He's not.
Oh yeah, you don't want to follow him.
Less than stellar reputation
there. And then there's a lot of people who call themselves preachers, and then there's a lot of them call themselves bishops, self-made bishops, and whatever you want to call yourself, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna follow your teaching, because if your word and your actions not lining up together, I can't do it.
Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you is, when did they have to start having armed security in churches? Was that always like that, or is this something that's only happened in the last couple of decades or something?
I'm gonna say in the last days when mega churches went over. Of course, when you have mega churches, you have a lot more people. Actually, people start paying attention because it's a mega church. They feel like it's a lot of money in there. Kind of Sunday, the movie First Sunday with Ice Cube, and um, Cap William in it, where Ice Cube and Mike Epps was gonna rob the not rob Mike Epps. I forgot who that was. That was, but they was gonna rob the church. And with doing that, they felt like it was some money. It was a mega church, and because of that, people had to get armed security. Then you have like
Oh,
the one in um, was it North Carolina, South Carolina, where the guy came in and shot up the Bible study.
yeah, that was a Bible reading group, right?
Yeah, it was a Bible
Bible study
study.
group.
I believe it was on a Wednesday night Bible study. So when you have people coming in, you want some form of security there. Like last month or earlier this month, a guy came into a church service waving a gun, and the pastor came behind him and took the gun. I wouldn't bring
Yeah,
that, but at the same time, this guy into a church doing that, and I don't know if that's security or not. But if the church did have security, it could have prevented some of that. That pastor wouldn't put it.
that's too bad that you actually because up here, like armed security in churches, not mega churches up here though. Um, but yeah, never heard. I've, maybe they hire security in some of them, but like our security, you can't be armed either, right? So I just was wondering like when that kind of started because I think 40 years ago it wasn't like that.
It been like that for a while. Cause I've
Yeah.
been in my church for 20 years, and uh, since I've been there, they've always had police officers there. So, and I want to say
Oh, I guess
even
that's a, yeah, yeah.
I want to say even back in the early 2000, or well, back in the 90s, I want to say they had some form of police officer on staff at certain churches, either directing traffic that was doing security and stuff like that. So
Oh,
uh,
okay.
here in Dallas, I can't speak for everybody, but it's a lot of mega churches here in Dallas, and um, good thing they I want to say majority of them have police officers that is doing the security. So it's not
Yeah, I guess
just
that's their off-duty gigs
yeah,
that they pick up on the weekends. Yeah.
yeah, I'll do the job or whatever. Which is always good to make you feel safe. You in there trying to pray and worship the Lord, and now you got to keep one eye open, making sure ain't nobody
Yeah, that's yeah,
trying to
that's
do nothing
crazy.
to you. So, but that's I think it had to been at least 20 to 25 years now. I don't know for sure, but
Wow, really?
it's been a while here in Dallas because Dallas always had. Matter of fact, it's been longer than that. Um, because even growing up, I guess I was about 15 to 16. It used to be a mega church over off of Ewan over in Dallas, and they had police officers out there directing traffic for the simple
Well, I
fact.
can see, yeah, I can see the directing traffic part because yeah, it would a mega church like that's a big parking lot. I'm assuming too, right?
They didn't have a big parking lot just where they was located. It could
Yeah.
get congested, so they had them directing traffic, and also I'm sure they had someone stationed on the pastor and inside of the church too. All the boys said churches and state, especially minority churches, was targeted with bombing and violence. Yeah, that's the four little girls of that was killed in the church, and uh, was it Alabama or Miss? Yeah, Alabama. Um, yeah, It's it always been target. So uh, this I think they started having our security. Yeah, back then we had to provide our own security because unfortunately back during a lot of places they have black police officers, which I know where we have uh, different race of police. So um, long as they protecting and serving, that's all that matters. And so so that's cool. Radio,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I just like how long it's been going on for because it seems like it, it you see it in the news more that there's armed security at churches.
yeah. And this society you need. Matter of fact, several years ago, over at Abbach, Dr. Ricky Rush, this pastor there, he actually was coming to church one morning, and someone held him at gunpoint. And I remember the story, but I want to say the guy was basically coming to rob him or whatever, and somehow I think he just convinced him to do it or whatever, and he told him.
Wow.
So it's a target because when people think just because you have bigger things, it you have a lot of money, but you got to realize just because it's big and those expensive too, and you may not have the money
Yeah.
that you think they have. So so that's unfortunately that's the society we live in today. Um, because a lot of people actually, uh, feel like they find that it's easy to actually go and steal instead of working. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
so
everybody's looking for
the
the
quick payday. Yeah. So, but it,
well, it looks like Kyle, he found the quick payday. Like that jerk is going to make money off this.
yeah, but it won't be long. It won't be. As soon as you do
Well,
something
we
else,
got a 5 cent bet. Like I told you, in trouble again.
oh
So
yeah, most definitely,
I'll go out on a limb and say at least in the next 5 years, you'll be in some kind.
most definitely. All aboard says she have a question for you. Come on with it, all aboard.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if you can see them or not, radio.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, she haven't brought up yet. Um, she probably typing it right now. Yeah, most definitely. This have really been a good night. I didn't realize the time. This is really peaceful for me to get on here and talk because it's a lot that I deal with behind the scene, and I hate when I'm unable to come on because I've been trying to come on since Friday because I had said Thursday night if they came out with the verdict on Friday, I was gonna come on and do a show, but I've been working so much. I come home, get me a bite to eat. Well, I take me a shower, get me a bite to eat, and I'm in the bed. I'm in the bed. That's
Oh
how.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. You get home from work and like you don't feel too bad, and then about 50 minutes when you relax, you don't and you eat, you don't feel like really doing that much.
Yeah, and then like even tonight, I actually got off early today, and got home early, took a shower, got a bite to eat, and I'm sitting here trying to prepare for. I found myself 8 o'clock. I'm just old now. 8 o'clock is like Oh man, I'm sleepy. It's my bedtime. So I'm like, okay. It seemed like soon as 8 o'clock hit, I just started sleeping. I'm like, oh, 5:30 gonna come too early. But actually, I say
Oh man, well,
5:30. I say 5:30, but I actually get up at 4:45 in the morning and try to
oh man,
leave the house since by all aboard said our first victim couldn't use self-defense by approaching. Do you think Arbery killer has a chance saying the defense? If that makes sense, I guess that's the question she had for you.
oh well, again, like I'm not up on the Georgia self-defense, but juror, it would be reasonable for Ahmaud Arbery to think that these guys were trying to rob him or they were trying to do him harm. So when he saw the gun, like I said, in his mind, it's like, well, I'm going to confront the guy with the gun. And the thing was, what I saw in the testimony, none of these guys even said to him, all they said to him was, well, we just want to talk to you. And then I think the other one was, stop, goddammit. Well, who the hell is going to stop and with a bunch of armed people in a pickup truck?
True.
So it would be reasonable for him to assume that these people were going to do him harm.
True.
So I don't think what's his name? Travis McMichael, is that the guy that shot him? I don't think that's going to work for him. And also, too, like in this case, what really struck me, too, was I thought the prosecution did a way better job than what they did in the Rittenhouse trial. And the judge in this trial is a lot more, like, just has way better temperament and is a lot more professional in the way he conducts his court. The defense lawyers, again, like I said, I never fault the defense lawyer. They will, they are beholden to their client to do everything they can to to defend them. But I think that the defense just doesn't have a lot to work with because the video's there, and these guys aren't cops. Travis McMichael gets out of his truck with a shotgun, and you've got the father with what do you have, a 357 Magnum. I don't see a lot going in their favor. Now, again, like any jury, you don't know which way they're going to go, and I know there's a racial element to this. They had problems. It took them a long time to select the jury. Even the judges said, like, the racial makeup of the jury, could be in question. I think there's one African American on the whole jury. Mm-hmm. So, from Ahmaud Arbery's sense, if I was a juror, I think it would be absolutely reasonable that he thought they were going to do him harm. So, him going after Travis, again, I would say to anybody, if you're not armed, going after somebody with a firearm, I don't know if that's the best choice, but he wasn't being pulled over by the police, or this wasn't some official kind of citizen's arrest. Like, that doesn't, and during the whole chase, he never even said anything to these guys, but he was just trying to get away. So, my take on it.
Yeah, and I believe is a ex-cop, a retired police officer. Now, here's I know this going to start up a whole nother conversation. Here's something else that came out today, where the defense described Ahmaud Arbery, talking about he was just a tall black guy with dirty toenails.
That was just what?
The hell do toenails have to in a murder trial? I mean, really?
I don't know.
And
Yeah, that struck me too.
I seen the video, the statement that Ahmaud after, and I know she's like, I want to know what do his long legs and dirty toenails have anything to do with the murder of my son. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that just is odd, man.
yeah, unfortunately, you say that to the person, she might get that the fence might get snatched. Be like, woman, that's my damn child. Uh, um, I think I personally hold on. Let me start this. So, man, time be flying, don't it? Uh, you're listening to Gonna With Who You With, Kurt Dog. I mean, we still chilling with Radio Chaos, my brother from another mother out of Canada. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, D Live is always in the house, and also recording for Anchor.fm. We're talking about Ahmaud Arbery with the statement that the attorney made today. Arbery talking about he just have tall, uh, tall legs with toenails. Now, his mother made a statement and wanted to know what do his toenails have anything to do with the striving mind in your closing argument. He was murdered. Now, I'm saying what she wanted, but in so many words that she did ask, what did that have to do with my son? But that was part of the defense closing argument
Yeah,
today.
I have no idea why that lawyer got in there. Like that to me is just I don't know.
I think
No sense.
I think now this is my opinion, and if this attorney want to call in and let us know why, she's welcome to call us. But I think it's a weird, uh, racist comment because we got to remember most of the jury is white except one, and they've always said black folks was uh, dirty, stanky, all type of stuff about black. So when she want to talk about his toenails, but you gotta also remember he been jogging. He was ran down by three racist people that is on trial for his murder, and you bringing up his toenail. I think it's one of those types where she's trying to remind the jury he's a black man. That's my opinion of it. But that never should have came out of her mouth. With these trials that's going on, and especially the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, we've seen what the defense attorney did not want pastors in the courtroom. He did a whistle about that, and the pastor showed up when he told about we don't need no more black pastors up here. But they showed up.
Yeah, I was watching a live stream of it yesterday. Apparently, the guy that was hosting the live stream, apparently there's some black pastors sitting with a mom, and three idiots came in dressed as Colonel Sanders.
That's jacked up.
And I'm like, what? I don't get this. Like, yeah, I know. Like, was it Kevin Goff? That's his name. Like, he made the Colonel Sanders statement, I guess, like last week. And so then you got idiots that are going, well, I'm going to go down to the courthouse and I'm going to dress up like Colonel Sanders and I'm going to sit in the courtroom. Wow, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one thing about me, I pray every day that we have peace on this earth because crimes are crazy right now.
Yeah.
The violence that is going on all across this world is crazy, as well as the pandemic. Now, regardless of what Greg Abbott is saying about our numbers have gone down, yeah, that may be true, but we don't need to let our guards down because they said, was it last week, 140,000 kids COVID-19 in the U.S. last week.
Mhm.
140,000 kids, not grown-ups, just kids, contracted the virus last week. That's because we have people that don't want to believe that kids can get it, but everybody can get it. At some point, we
Well, and you've
all,
also got Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, right?
and that's what they was bringing up. The fact that Thanksgiving is approaching, please do not let your guard down because you're going to be around family and friends. You don't know who they've been around.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
I feel sorry for the flight attendants too. They're all getting in fights with people, like people being jerks on it. Did you ever see that kind of behavior before? Like I used to fly all the time when I was working on the cruise. I never stopped behaving. Now apparently this is normal now.
It's normal. It's normal. Matter of fact, I think a couple of weeks ago they arrested a young lady here in Lovefield. She attacked a Southwest airline ticket agent or somebody who worked at the gate at Southwest. They attacked uh, the young lady and or the person. The person had to be taken to the hospital. And I'm like, wow. When they showed her picture, I said, well, hell, she need to be in jail anyway. Um, you
Yeah.
attacking somebody like that. See, what people don't realize, this is what a lot of people don't realize. When these people are at work, they are protected by federal government. Meaning, if you do anything to them while they are at work, guess what? You just got yourself a felony. And you could face
Yeah.
some lengthy time for attacking airline employees while they working or any other body who work for the while they are working. You attack them while they working, you might well turn around and kiss your ass goodbye. Cause you finna do some time. And that's all to
And
it.
also what a lot of people don't realize is that flight attendants' main job is for the safety of the aircraft. They're not. Their main job is not to serve you drinks. Their main job is they have the training that if there is an accident, that they can get everybody off that plane. That is the main reason they're there. It's not because they're some kind of waitress that you think
Exactly.
you can just abuse, right? And that's the thing too. I think people look at that profession and they don't realize that. They just think there's some kind of servant of them. Well, if a plane if things go sideways and the plane crashes, these are the people are going to save your life because they have the training to get everybody off the plane. And they don't realize that. They just think, oh well, you're here to serve me, and if I don't like what you're doing, I can just you know hit you upside to the point where they can put their hands on these people. They think they can. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm trying not to be too loud. I'm pouring some water in my cup. And it's I heard it in my ear and it's like it sounds like I'm using the bathroom. No, I'm
Well, I
pouring.
should probably let you go anyways. You probably got to go to work tomorrow.
I'm
But
pouring
yeah,
water.
it was cool talking to you again.
Yeah, it's always good whenever you call. Um, I'm a I have to go to work tomorrow. It's gonna be um, um depends. It may not be too bad tomorrow, but I'm gonna be up for a while because um Tuesday is my late night anyway. Um, so this actually helped me out and give me time to do some things I need to kind of do because I gotta post all these things on Anchor and everything. So it's definitely a good time. Whenever I'm able to talk to you, all aboard, um, the ones that call in, it's always a good time. All aboard said more people died this year in the States from COVID than in 2020, but it get little coverage. Um, COVID is still real. Tell people continue to protect yourself. For me and my family, I'm like, hey, I love y'all, but people ask, what y'all doing for Thanksgiving? Probably nothing. I'm probably gonna sleep majority of the day because my wife and I both have to be at work early the next morning. So it's like I'm not going too far, but please protect yourself. Um, I love being around family, but hey, I also got to protect myself uh, because you have some family members that is not taking this serious enough, and you don't want to put yourself at risk. So, um,
No, well, I knew somebody last year that died from this,
yeah, you told me it was
and
your mom friend, right?
yeah, and she took the well, I know better, and she was a person that liked to socialize.
Yeah, and that's not. You still there, radio? I hear a buzzing. Oh, we lost him. I think his battery ran down. Said, "Look, we've been on there long enough." No, but still, even with COVID, please protect yourself at all times. I don't care. Uh, I would love to be with my family, but I also have to look at this. I don't know where I'll only been, so I have to protect myself, my wife, and make sure that we are safe and we're not going out uh, catching anything. Uh, Thank you, radio. Because, and to be honest, you helped me out a lot. Because if you did not come on, I would have been off probably 2 hours ago. But I appreciate you for coming on. It's always good to hear from you. And stay safe up in Canada. Um, and but yeah, definitely protect yourself no matter where you. Don't forget, as soon as I get it confirmed, hopefully I confirm next week. Soon as I get it confirmed, day we're gonna have the counselor on next month. Um, we will set for we can have the counselor come on. We're gonna deal with a lot of stuff because right now a lot of people are hurting. Holidays coming up, um, and then for people that have lost ones this year alone, as well as years before. It's a struggle. Um, and I talk openly about it because uh, today driving home, uh, I was talking to J Mall. He was like, "Man, what y'all doing for Thanksgiving?" I said, "Man, I haven't even thought that far. I've been working so much, I couldn't even tell you." But when I got off the phone, I said, normally Thanksgiving is a time where I get excited. I call my mom and um, see what she cooking, and I have my menu made up. But this year is like I haven't thought about cooking for Thanksgiving. Um, so it's gonna be interesting. So um, and it really made me start to miss her. Um, I can talk openly about it because um, that's why we keep it real. Because what I'm saying now can help someone else understand the fact of losing a loved one, and uh, now they not here, and the holidays are approaching. There have been many of things that have happened since February where I would normally call my mom first and talk with her and let her know what's going on. I haven't been able to do that, but I do thank God for having um, the right people in my life to keep me rooted, and being able to um, talk about things that is going on. Like I said, the counseling. I take counseling every week. It's a good thing. I'm not ashamed to say that I do take counseling, and I would recommend anybody to also take counseling. And you can actually probably get it for free if you are working to your HR and ask about the Employee Assistance Program, EPA. No, EAP. I'm sorry, myself. EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and about it. And they should be able to provide information for you where you can get counseling, your family can get counseling um, in your immediately household, whether in office or telehealth. Either way, take counseling. Now, the only way counseling really work if you are completely honest with the counselor. And you have to be honest with them. First couple of times I went in there and I just stared. I'm like, I'm not finna tell them my business. But that third time, I had so much going on, nearly dying um, months before, and spent 6 weeks in the hospital. And when I got that breakthrough, my counselor and I have a great relationship. I can talk to them about anything. But at the same time, I know for me, I'm being honest with them, and they can lead and guide me in the right direction to be able to deal with things. Because even though I come on this show, I smile, I laugh, I joke, you don't know the pain I'm going through, that I have gone through. And and it's okay because I could deal with it. I could tell you I'm struggling. Right now, I'm struggling. This is the first year without my mom. So it's a struggle for me because she's the one that taught me how to cook. I've been cooking for many years and go for me. So definitely take the time out, um, call loved ones, whatever you have to do. If you need counseling, definitely get counseling. It's nothing to shame of it. I think everybody in this world need a little bit of counseling because if everybody got counseling and took it serious, I think we will be living in a much better place and all this violent would be going on. That's my personal opinion, but I appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. The Radio Chaos coming in, chilling with me for a couple of hours and the dialogue, um, and then everybody that tuned in, chatted in the chat room. I appreciate you. Hopefully, y'all did share, tell a friend, subscribe to the channel, whichever platform you on, gave us hearts, whatever. As we got some big things coming up next year. Uh, if everything goes well tomorrow, I will be back on tomorrow. If not, I will be here Thanksgiving because I want to know what I'm thankful for, and during this time of uh, the holiday, I want to be here for y'all too. If you need someone to talk to, your family on the show. So definitely, I will be here every night. We were last year. So um, other than that, I love each and every you. Until tomorrow night, if the good the same. If I'm not here tomorrow night, it's because I'm working late, but I'm planning on being here. But I will be here Thursday night. Until then, I love one of you. Peace.